So this is kind of an impromptu thing. Some of the times, part of my job, career-wise, is speaking to a lot of people. And, you know, like Bob Russell says, there's never a time you're not a little bit nervous. And sometimes I prepare things two different ways. I either go off the top of my head, and I end up not saying things that I wish I had said, or I have it all laid out and penciled out, and never goes the right way anyway. So I always pray that God shows up, and I'm going to kind of go a little different ways here this morning. This is not a self-promotion type of talk, but I'd like to show you a little bit of clips of the 2 mission trips that I have been on, and there's a contrast to both. One of them was a construction trip 2.5 years ago, and the other one was a health and wellness trip a couple weeks ago. And before I went on the first mission trip, I kind of asked the question to myself, why me, Lord? Why do you want me to go on a construction trip to this foreign country? I don't know anybody there. I do not know Polish. I didn't study in school. Didn't study any foreign language. I'm from the South, so English is even kind of hard for me sometimes, so forgive me. And by the way, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, so, but I do have a story to tell and kind of a message with that story, so bear with me if my English is a little bit off. And I do write books for a living, but I do have a great editor, so that really helps out a lot too. But I want to share a little story with you. I'm going to go a little bit backwards. I'm going to show you a clip of both mission trips, a little bit of pieces, and then I'm going to kind of tell you the story that has led up to that. Because the general theme here this morning is, why me, Lord? And I asked that question 1,000 times in my life, but why me? And I'm going to share with you the answer to that. It always came up the same. But today, like I said, I asked Barry and Doug, I said, well, why me? Why do you want me to talk about something? And I think we've all done that before, where we've asked, why me? Why do you want me to go, not necessarily on a mission trip, but maybe why do you want me to go to a nursing home? Or why do you want me to go talk to a brother that I haven't spoken to in 10 years? Or why do you want me to forgive somebody that I'm having a hard time forgiving? I think we've all asked that question of why me? And hopefully through some of the trials and tribulations and questions that I asked God over the years, maybe they can resonate a little bit. I don't know a lot of Bible scriptures, but I'm willing to share my story and some of the trials and drug problems that I had and insecurities that I have. And I have found that sometimes our personal stories are a lot more powerful than reading a scripture, out of the Bible. So I'm going to show you a little bit of this, but does everybody have a Bible? Most people have a Bible. If you would turn to Ephesians, I think it's 3:20. I'm not sure. I'd like to ask a volunteer maybe to read 14 through 20 of Ephesians 3, if they would.
Thank you, Russell. 20 through what?
14 through 20. Before we read that, have a prayer.
For this reason I kneel before the Father, from whom his whole family in heaven and on earth derives its name. I pray that out of his glorious riches he may strengthen you with power through his Spirit in your inner being, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith. And I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power, together with all the saints, to grasp how wide and how long and how high and how deep is the love of Christ, and to know this love that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled to the measure with all the fullness of God. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. To him be glory in the church and in Jesus Christ through all generations, forever and ever. Amen.
See how things don't go as planned? I was going to start this on, who's familiar with this up here? Eric, are you familiar with this kind of? There's a 2.5 years ago, we went into the dead of winter. And we went to, I guess Southeast every year goes to this place in Zakoczeli, Poland, and we do some construction work. And the project is picked out every year. And this year, or that year, we were going to do one of the first ever radio studios. We were going to take this attic, and we were going to build it out. And part of the people that with us are construction people, and so that was our mission. And I said to myself, you know, why me? I mean, you want me to go over there and swing a hammer, and now you're going to ask me. One thing from a pride standpoint, I don't like to ask for money, and we generate money to go on the trip, and I was just like, I don't want to do this, you know, I can swing a hammer here. But the Lord said, you know, you just need to go. You just need to go. And I'm like, you know, 6, and we're going to be stuck up in an attic for 10 days, and, you know, what's going to happen there? So I decided to go. And so I'd like to show you just some bits and pieces of the trip, maybe for about 5 minutes here, to kind of give you a feel of some of the things that we experienced in Poland. I'll show you a little bit of the Tomi Center where they have church. I'll show you a little bit of the camp where we did most of our work. And I'll show you a little bit of Auschwitz. Auschwitz was the place where the concentration camp that we went to, and it was probably the most evil place that I've ever experienced in my life. But it was great to go there just to experience that part of history. Not every mission trip that you go on, you're going to be able to do some of these things, but we had the privilege to do that. So, Eric, let's do the. Well, that's probably a little bit of Auschwitz there. And of course, it had to be rainy. It had to be gloomy when we went there. And everything else is built up around there now. But, you know, Auschwitz was secluded, and nobody knew about it. And a buddy of mine put the music to this together from Schindler's List. So it just gives you a little bit of idea as far as the concentration camp. And these are 2 of the kids that went with us, and you can see on their face, the air was just so heavy when we saw that. And this was one of the walls that they used.
Well, I'll turn the other light out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was a room filled with people's faces. And it was probably one of the most humbling rooms that they had of everybody's faces. This is some of their clothes that they had. And it was a wall that they used for. And what was really eerie was their faces were all the same. Their eyes were sunken in, and they were lost. And this is some of the luggage that they took with them. And I think that sign said, "Work will buy your freedom." Something to that. All right, and then this is one of the gas chambers that they had. So, all right, you can turn the lights back on if you would, and we can go to another part of that. But that was just kind of, it really hit home to us as far as some of the history that some of the people went through. And we should be able to go right back to the menu. But we didn't plan on going there. Our job was to do some construction work, but we had an extra day off or so. And the host of the trip, let's go to the construction project there. This will give you a little bit of idea. The first couple of days that we were here, there was probably about 6 Polish guys and about 8 of us that were working, and the communication was just really, there was no communication whatsoever. We didn't know Polish. My buddy gave us a little cheat sheet for hello and goodbye, and Lodi was ice cream and all that. It was not a communication. And then all of a sudden, about the second day, one of the guys wanted to arm wrestle me. I don't know why. And so we got into this arm wrestling contest. Didn't speak a word of English, but we wanted to have a little bit of fun. And that was a Polish guy, and that was myself, and that was the barrier that broke the whole weekend. And we came up from lunch that next